Over the years, a lot of good games have been released. A lot of bad games too. Some really anti-consumer business practices and some really good pro-consumer movements. But what are the best, what are the worst? Hello, I am the ThousandPoundPig, and this is my list of the best games I've played in the year 2015. Just know that I'm not a professional reviewer, I don't get sent free games, I'm not a millionaire, I can't afford every game which costs money. In fact, I almost avoid a lot of games, and I play a lot of free games. I wait until Steam has a free weekend or something and I play a game then, a lot of the time. If not, then I try and be careful with what I buy, and I only buy stuff from developers and publishers who I really trust. So this top of 2015 may be a bit off for some people because a lot of these games weren't released this year, but these are the games which I have first played and experienced in this year. So there are 10 different categories. I'll break them down one by one, and once I do mention each one, I'll have a few nominated. That is just to tell you what games I have played, so you do have an idea of what I'm judging it on. If you do like the sound of any of these games, I suggest you look them up. I'm not going to show you each game which has been nominated because I want to try and tempt you just by the words I say, because these games deserve a bit of research into each one which you're interested in. Don't just base it off of my word. Everyone's taste is different. Now first up is the game which has surprised me the most. I've played a lot of games both for making videos and just privately, and these games have just really stuck out to me. Something which I have had my preconceptions before playing the game, before downloading it or buying it, and then it's just completely blown me out of the water. Whether it's the graphics, the gameplay, the depth it has, it's a whole bunch of things. But first up is Warhammer 40,000's Regicide. This is supposed to be a normal chess game with just set pieces. Pieces, not animated orcs and space marines. This is a really good chess game. For a chess game, you would think all it has to do is get the mechanics right, and it does that fine, but this is battle chess as well, which means it also has a further gameplay element, which has ranged attacks in it, and even magic warp abilities and things. You can still play normal chess, but what really stood out to me was the attention to the graphics, the effects, particle physics, and the animations. I did not expect that in a chess game, and I don't think many people would. But that really suits the theme, and it really deserves its spot in this most surprising category. Next is Interstellar Marines. When I tried this, I thought it would just be a simple first-person shooter. I was actually gifted it, and I didn't really respect it much. Interstellar Marines is a very token name, I guess, for a first-person shooter, but playing this was surprising because it has a lot of gameplay depth. When I say gameplay depth, I mean it has a lot of animations and a special focus on sound effects, which you don't hear in other games. Like even big budget developers such as EA don't do this type of stuff. So it was a big surprise, and they even had the guts to put in a DayZ mode called Hell Week. Not many games do that. And Titanfall, you can see how these games aren't exactly 2015. Titanfall was a game I've always had some interest in, but I never really got into because I was afraid of just everyone who played that was from Call of Duty. A lot of kids were jumping onto that bandwagon when it did come out. And I was just never really interested in the latest Modern Warfare Call of Duty games, and this seemed like a straight appeal to them, which was one of the main reasons I didn't play it. And the second reason was that I just didn't really care. Like, okay, they're Titans, there's parkour in it. So what? I knew that there were bots in it, which I thought was really cool, and a single player campaign. I thought that was kind of weird. But when I played both of them, I was surprised at the detail it has. The weapons and sounds and the animations, once again, was surprising. I'm not just saying that there were textures lying around and an amazing skybox or something. I'm talking about things in the distance which actually move. So these are actual models and things flying around. There's just always something to look at in Titanfall. And finally, Depth. Depth is a game where it's sharks versus humans. A really scary game, which explains why I didn't buy it. I only played it free on a Steam weekend, and what I really liked about this game was that it's great to play with friends. It's great to hear friends scream out over TeamSpeak or just try and taunt you if they are a shark or they're the human. I found that to be a lot of fun, and especially the hide and seek mode. That was amazing. I think more games need a hide and seek mode. It's definitely easy to learn, and a lot of people know the basics. And the winner would have to be Titanfall. Out of these four, Titanfall easily had the biggest budget of the four, but instead of just going for a normal AAA game, they did a lot more. They gave it a single player campaign. There was a lot of different animations which you can see from bots. There's parkour and robots. The maps are amazing. They're really detailed maps. The whole thing just blew me away. I was surprised, and I wish I bought it when it did first come out. I don't know what the hell happened to Titanfall. Why didn't a lot of people stick around? I guess because it is an EA game. If it was on Steam, then I think it would have got a lot more attention, and a lot more people would be playing it at the moment. Next is the graphics and art category. I decided to put these two together because I just don't get to play a lot of games, really. I like games which I don't like saying this, but I think I've turned into a bit of a graphics snob in 2015, where I like games with good graphics. But not just good graphics, though. I like games with good art in it. So first up is Awesomenauts. This may not have good graphics, but I think it has good graphics. What would you call this? Would you call this a graphical game or an arty game? I don't even think arty is a word, but you can see what I mean. This looks like a comic book or a Saturday cartoon, an old 90s, 70s cartoon, not the crap which is on TV at the moment. Tengami. Tengami is an old Japanese style drawing pop-up book in the strategy genre. So there are a bunch of puzzles which you can solve by sliding things across the screen, by pulling things up, just to get your character to the next level. Pop-up books are always good to see. This game didn't exactly follow the book format, but it did follow the pop-up style, so it was really well designed there. This was definitely an arty game based on the old Japanese style paintings. It was not going for realism, but a very unique art style choice, so I gotta include this because it was just amazing. And Tarnafall again, like I said, the graphics are just amazing. And when I played this game, this was on the old graphics card right before I upgraded. This was on the old NVIDIA GeForce GTX 580. Now I got a 970, but back then the graphics were still amazing. They were like high definition. They were better than high definition. I could walk up into a shop and I could read what was for sale. I could see the price, the numbers. Now there is an option in the Tarnafall options called Insane Textures. You turn that on. But why the hell don't more games have this? Big bonus points for Tarna for this. And finally, Regicide. Like I said in the category before, the graphics were just amazing. This is supposed to be a chess game. They just went far beyond what's expected of a normal chess game, especially in the graphics department. And the winner is for this would have to be Awesomenauts. This Saturday cartoon look is starting to pop up more in a lot more games, but Awesomenauts is one of the best games with it. There's so much character in this game. Every character is unique. Every character looks like they can have their own show. It's all bright and vibrant. Everything stands out. The maps are beautiful. There's even a lot of particle physics. There's some holograms in there, which makes this more than just a cartoon. It's like one of those cartoons with special animated effects inside it. And with Awesomenauts' sci-fi theme, I think that's a really cool idea for this game. Mod of the year. Game modifications are something which I always support. I always want to do a lot of them, but this year I didn't really find myself playing a lot of them. Maybe because I was just so busy trying to make so many different videos. But there are 3 big ones which I did play. First up is obviously Doom. I did my first Let's Play series on Brutal Doom, where the Brutal Doom mod basically makes it more brutal, obviously. It adds more blood to the game. It adds particle physics, better explosions. It adds giblets and ragdoll. In a game like that with this old sprite style, this was a game before the 2000s. I mean, modifying a game like that and still modifying it to this day with updates, that's insane. Grand Theft Auto 4 Ice Enhancer mod. The Ice Enhancer mod basically makes Grand Theft Auto 4 look like Grand Theft Auto 4.9. But that is only looks. That's only the graphics. It makes everything look shinier, look darker. It is a huge hit to your frames per second and your graphics. And it's not that well optimized. If you want a more optimized game than Grand Theft Auto 4.9, then you just get Grand Theft Auto 5 because the graphics in that are amazing. And finally, Long War. Now, I need to admit that I tried Long War for Enemy Unknown, not Enemy Within, which is the expansion of XCOM. What Long War does is obviously make the game a lot more longer. It's a lot harder to progress through the game because the aliens are harder, there's different classes, there's just a lot more depth everywhere. The whole theme of the Long War mod is just to spread everything out so you don't go through the story so fast. Out of these 3, I'm probably biased here because I did my first Let's Play on Doom. It's always going to hold a special place in my heart. It's Doom. It's the Brutal Doom mod. Like I said, it adds physics to the game. Particle physics, physics as in ragdoll physics. You can blow other mobs away, and every single mob is a sprite, so it's kind of weird. It adds to the whole art style of the game. It doesn't ruin the art. It doesn't change it. It suits Doom. And you can say that even the remake of Doom, which is being released in 2016, has been inspired a lot by Brutal Doom. Best multiplayer game of 2015. Monaco is a heist game. It's a game where you are a thief and you can also play with up to 4 friends. So it's a bunch of thieves trying to get gold or yellow pixels and things. You can try and be stealthy through it, but it's hard to communicate in a game like that. And it's hard to no, not so much communicate. It's more hard to cooperate and go for the same objective because it's just one of those type of games where it's not really suited to multiplayer, but it can be. And when it is, it can be a lot of fun or it can just be a disaster. But I really wish more friends got to play it. Mount Your Friends. Mount Your Friends is a very simplistic game where you have to climb onto a goat and try reach a certain point. So it's a turn-based game. It's a really stupid game, especially with all the slapping sound effects. And just the name, Mount Your Friends. It's... what more do I need to say? Speedrunners. Speedrunners is the game I tell every YouTuber to put on their channel. Even though I only have one video of it, once again, I wish I had more friends who played this type of game because I just think it's always entertaining to watch, no matter who plays it. And finally, Don't Starve Together. Don't Starve Together is kind of a spin-off, or maybe I guess you could call it a sequel, maybe an expansion of the normal Don't Starve where you just play yourself. Honestly, I can't imagine playing this game by myself. It is such a scary game. I can only imagine playing it with my man Mackenzie. I guess I could play it with someone else, but it just won't be fun. It's just always tense, and no matter what you're doing in the game, you always feel like you're pressured for time. So if you're playing with a friend, it feels like you are both pressured for time. You are a solid unit working together to survive the winter and then survive the next big challenge. This was hard. I played a lot of multiplayer games in 2015, so this was a really hard category. I like all of these games, all of them. But out of these ones, I would have to give it to Mount Your Friends. It's just such a simplistic game and such a simple concept. Speedrunners Don't Starve, they have really cool ideas for a multiplayer type of game. Monaco was never really made for multiplayer, but Mount Your Friends, it's just so simple and stupid. It just made it a lot of fun in multiplayer. Maybe it's just a theme of almost naked men with their wangs flipping around, slapping onto each other and just hovering in midair. I don't know what it is, but I do know it's some of the best fun I've had in 2015. New IP. Now this category is not just about the game. This is a category about, I guess, the art style, the game it creates, the future of these games. Do these games even have a future? I would like to see more of these games. I think there are a bunch of games I played this year which won't have a sequel simply because they just aren't that deep. It doesn't seem like a lot of passion was put into it, a lot of thought. But these games definitely have that. First up is Awesome Noughts again. Once again, that Saturday morning comic. And that theme song is just amazing. It really suits this new IP category. I just want to see more. I want to see more Awesome Noughts. Interstellar Marines. Now, this game is not deep like the other games mentioned in this list. This game is deep in its gameplay, not so much in its story. Unfortunately, Interstellar Marines is still in early access. I would like to see more about this game. I want to see more story. I want to see more depth. The developers obviously have some passion in it, but it is still in early access, and I would at least like some more communication on this game's future. And Titanfall is back again with its nomination. Everywhere you would look in this game, there was something. There was something, like a little detail. No other game is like this. What other game has jetpacks, parkour, big mechs which you can jump in, which fly down from the sky, or dropped from the sky, I guess. And there's just action everywhere. I would really like to see a Titanfall sequel, expansion, comics. That's what this new IP category is. Like, what would I like to see more of? And out of these three, I would have to say, I want to see more Awesome Noughts. Unlike Interstellar Marines and Titanfall, what Awesome Noughts has is character variety. It's a MOBA, of course, so I want to see comics. I want to see cereal boxes with each character on it. Spin-off games, expansions, themed DLC, whatever. Awesome Noughts can do that, while Interstellar Marines and Titanfall, they would struggle a lot more, just because they won't have a huge enough buckets filled with awesome ideas like Awesome Noughts already has. Best new gimmick of 2015. Evolve. It's a whole 1 versus 4 mode which really gets it, and that's Evolve's main mode. It's similar to the Death game where you were a shark, but in this game you are a monster which can evolve, so you are much more powerful. It's a bit like hide and seek, but the game is balanced around the hunters trying to find the monster and the monster trying to kill all those hunters while trying to evolve. So it's kind of that cat and mouse combat and theme, which I think is really cool. Football Manager 2016, yeah, it's a Football Manager sports game. Nothing really new happens with it, but what's new? What's the best new gimmick? It's creating a club. In Football Manager 2016, you create a club and you put them in a league. You don't have to go through the Football Manager editor and try and make everything happy so it all works fine. It's very fiddly when I used to do that in the past, but this does it automatically, so I would like to see more customization on this side of things. Receiver. What would happen if you had to reload a gun? Are you able to do that? Or in the heat of battle, would you be able to reload your gun manually? Would you be able to do it in a short and fast time and seamless actions? I don't think I would, even though I have played a lot of Receiver. I tried to reload within a few seconds. It's a really cool idea. I would like to see more manual reloading in other games. And finally, Man Max. What does Man Max? Well, it could be a few things. It could be the whole car PG storyline, as your car is supposed to evolve alongside Max. Or it could be the health and hunger system. Your health and hunger refills every time you eat, or every time you have a drink of water, your health fills up. I think that's a really cool detail which makes you feel like you are part of that world. And I love game immersion like that. So I think that's just a really cool idea, even though it may be simple compared to some of these other mechanics. But out of these, you heard me talk about it before. The hide and seek mode in Death was amazing. So the hide and seek, more cat and mouse kind of style of Evolve definitely wins this. Evolve was just a bit like Titanfall. A lot of people don't play it anymore, but I found that Evolve just was terribly advertised. Before it even came out, a lot of people knew that it would be charging for a lot of characters. and that scared away a lot of people, but I don't know, I think this is worth it. It's not so competitive focused because what makes this game great is the depth which you can have in it just by playing up against normal people. It is a surprisingly deep game. I'm sure there are a lot of strategies for it. And this whole hide and seek, cat and mouse kind of game, I want to see a lot more of it in future games. Now let's just take a trip away from games and talk about the best developer of 2015. This is something I'm a big supporter of because I don't like scummy developers, as I call them. Developers which just try and exploit people because, let's admit, games are focused around young people. And a lot of people are easily influenced by flashy DLC, flashy skins, shiny stuff, explosions, and just a lot of really pointless stuff, I think. But these developers would have to be the favorites, at least what I would hope to be role models for the future. First, Avalanche Studios, they had a huge year. Not only did they release Just Cause 3, but they also released Mad Max. Now they are a big studio, Avalanche Studios, but they also like playing with physics, which I really love in games, especially big budget games like these. They always have huge explosions in their games. They love playing with physics and harpoons and cars and open world, so that's great. I love those games. This is not just your AAA game developer though. They tend to take risks. They don't just go with pretty graphics and trusted game mechanics, and that can really be seen in Mad Max, so I gotta commend them on that. CD Projekt Red. Now these guys make the Witcher series, and this is a game I've never played. I played the first one and a bit of the second one. I have not played Witcher 3, but Witcher 3 is getting all the Game of the Year awards this year, and I can't really blame it. It looks beautiful. CD Projekt Red, they are a kind of small developer, but they've just hit it out of the park in 2015, so I gotta give them credit for that. But not only do they make great games, they make free DLC, free expansions, so they are a very great developer to trust and stand by. Virtual Basement. Virtual Basement isn't a big developer. They're more known for their Ark game. Ark game is a game which everyone knows as Dinosaurs. The game. That's what it is. It tends to have a lot of dinosaurs, which I think is a really cool idea. I got to play a few days of it, and I found it terribly optimized. There was a lot of frame rate issues with it because it's just one of those games. It's a huge open world. It's a bit like Daisy open world. You're stuck on an island, stuff like that. Great looking crafting system. But what I've figured out lately is that this Ark game is the 2015's version of Crysis. Back when Crysis came out, it broke a lot of people's machines. And that's what Ark has been doing. It's been breaking a lot of machines, and it has been encouraging people to upgrade their computer. So there's two ways to think of it. You could say that this game should not have been made. It shouldn't have been made for 2015. Computers just aren't ready for it. And another side is saying games should be as good as they possibly can be. Like I said, with the Titanfall, when there are insane textures for the game, why not put them in the game? It's a lot more gigabytes of download, obviously. But if you made it, put it in the game and see if it's used. People can use it if they want. Just give people the freedom. And Ark is one of those games which they have gone out with that game. They have just absolutely put everything into it and just put it up as it is. Even though there's a lot of problems, I hope that will get better as time goes on. But not only did they do Ark, they also used a lot of that funding to make their next game called The Mean Greens. And I made a video about this because what surprised me most about The Mean Greens is that it's a full game where you have to buy, right? So this is not just a developer trying to exploit the early access model. And when it was released, I think on day 1, maybe even day 2, Australian servers were announced. In Australia, that's something which I do have to care about, where when I see a multiplayer game, I just have to avoid it basically, because a lot of games don't have Australian servers. So if I jump onto a multiplayer game, I have to play with Americans all the time, and I'm always at a disadvantage. But Virtual Basement did a huge service to the minority of people in the world, which are Australians, so I gotta commend them for that. And last, but definitely not least, is DICE Los Angeles. I wouldn't think I would put them in this list, but I have heard a lot of the good things from DICE lately. DICE Los Angeles, they aren't so much a developer, they are more of a fixer. What game are they involved in, you may ask? They are involved with that really good Battlefield game. What Battlefield game? Oh, the late one. It didn't come out that long ago. No, not Hardline. Battlefield 4. But Battlefield 4 had a terrible launch. It's buggy, it's crap. Yes, it was. It was buggy and crap. But everything I hear about it now, Battlefield 4 is great. They have optimized it. They have fixed a lot of issues. I don't hear anything about Battlefield Hardline now. I hear a lot about Battlefield 4. It even has new maps now. And I also hear a lot of good things about what they are doing inside their studio in Los Angeles as well. They're trying to stop the whole slave labor of game developers at the moment, because game developers work very long hours and they don't get paid that much. DICE Los Angeles are trying to change that. So these 4 developers I would definitely buy a game from in future. If they put a game on early access, I would trust them. Maybe not DICE. DICE is basically EA. They'll do whatever EA does for them. But out of these 4, as an Australian, I gotta pick Virtual Basement. Yeah, I was on their back about Ark Survival Evolved, and it's still not coming out of early access today. It seems like a big early access exploit, which a lot of developers seem to be doing this year. But then they released a big game in the quality of Mean Green with Australian servers in the same year. That's just insane. That's just insane. Both the quality of the 2 games, their themes, best story. Mad Max would have to be added in this because I am currently playing through it. I have not finished the game, but I am pretty close. Basically, your car gets stolen, you kill a guy, you find a mutant buddy who becomes your sidekick, he makes you a new car, you drive that car, it's awesome. You find the guy who you killed is actually still alive, and that's where I'm up to. I don't think that's a spoiler. Nobody watches those videos anyway. It's not so much set in the Mad Max worlds in the movies because you can't see those similar locations. It's set in the same universe. So it's set, let's just say, on the other side of the planet where it's still a dried up seabed and dried up everything else. Dragon Age Origins. This was the game which I almost forgot about. I played it because it was free on Origin, which is why I nearly forgot about it. I couldn't play through it. It just wasn't fun for me. I did end up watching a Let's Play of it, which I really enjoyed. What makes a Dragon Age game are the depth of each character you can be involved with. The depth of your party members. Nobody cares about your player in Dragon Age. It's just like Mass Effect. Nobody cares about Shepard. Care about all the other players, who your party members are, what they do, what you can do for them and everything. I found the story to be kind of simple, really. I'm not really a fan of it. It might just be the whole fantasy setting. I might just be sick of fantasy games in general. And Batman Arkham Origins. On Christmas Eve, Black Mask escapes from Blackgate Prison. He escapes and puts a bounty on Batman's head. 8 assassins are given the task to kill Batman. So out of these 3, I would have to give it to Batman. Batman because it is the classic video game story. This game would not suit a movie or a book. It might suit a TV series or an anime, I guess, because they tend to be very long. But this was all set on one day right before Christmas. So 8 different Batman villains versus Batman. And my best thing about DC and Batman in general are the Batman villains, because they each tend to have their own psychological trait unique to them, such as the pyromaniac, the obsessive compulsive, the psychotic, and so on. It's a game about boss fights, basically. You switch to boss fight seamlessly. They aren't all one after the other. There's a lot of stuff in between them all, but it's just really well written. And it's always great to see villains work together against a common enemy. Best World. This is a category which I guess could be confused as the best IP or the best graphics, I guess, or maybe even the best story, but this is a category for games which make you feel a part of that world. So this is not just set for open world games, though they have a huge advantage of that. They are meant to immerse you inside that game so you have the freedom to do anything you want. And it makes you think about what you can do in the game or what you would like to do and how small do you feel in that world. The smaller, the better. First up is Dark Souls. This was a game I meant to do just as a spoof for a separate video for Rogue Legacy, but I ended up doing a video just of Dark Souls by itself. When Dark Souls first came out, I completely ignored it because it was always a big fuss about, oh, this is so hard, this is such a hard game, blah, blah, blah. And I just don't get on those bandwagons. If it's a hard game, I don't want to play it because it'll be hard for me as well. But what I have found since making the video is that there are actually a lot of details in Dark Souls. A lot to the world, not just its gameplay, but its world. Like a lot of secrets. There is a lot of secrets, a lot of shortcuts. There's actually a story to the game, and just the world is really cleverly designed. I need to play Dark Souls. No, I don't want to play Dark Souls because it's a really old and hard game. Bloodborne is on the PlayStation, and I know that's very recent. A lot of people are saying that's very similar because it's made by the same people, or it's a lot better than Dark Souls. Hopefully they make Bloodborne on PC. Mad Max, of course, I have to include this. It's a huge open world. I love the whole desert terrain and the car PG things. Your car is your character as well as Max being a character as well. So you don't really feel too uncomfortable no matter what mode you're in. There are camps all over the place. I love how in the game it's set between 2 parts. One is the dried up seabed and the other is normal land with dried up trees and everything. It's a game based off of the movies, though not the same locations. It's the same type of theme, and it's just great playing a game like that. And the desert in Mad Max is just amazing. I was afraid that it would just be a brown and blue game, but everyone is always surprised when they play Mad Max because it's just such a beautiful game with so many different colors. And Titanfall, this is not an open world game unlike Dark Souls and Mad Max. Dark Souls is an open world game, kind of. Titanfall is a first-person shooter, and as I have said in numerous times in this episode, it just has so much depth. In most first-person shooters, you have a wall. But in Titanfall, you have graffiti on that wall, and you can read the graffiti, you can read the names, you can see it on multiple different maps. Every single map has its own theme, so one theme can be a waste treatment plant. One map has a theme of being in a city block, another one in a mining area. And it feels like it all belongs in this world. It's kind of set in the future, sci-fi, of course, maybe on a different planet or something. They can probably travel to different planets. Just the amount of depth and detail Titanfall has still amazes me. So if I was to say it like Dob, the best world would be the one which I would like to see an anime of. Some TV series, a movie, or something like that. I said this similar to the new IP, but this is something I really felt immersed in, and I felt really tiny compared to the rest of the game. And that would have to be Titanfall. I keep talking about it, but I really love world design in games. It's something I really want to focus on a lot in 2016 in my videos. I got a few series planned. I hope you like world design, because I want to focus a lot more on that. And finally, Game of the Year for 2015. This is a game which I found a lot of fun. It's fairly recent. I started playing it in November, I think. But I tried to break down all these different games, and no, it's not Titanfall. Titanfall was probably the most mentioned in all of these categories because it's just such an amazing game, really. But this game surprised me. It made me rethink art design. It made me rethink how I should be as a critic towards games in general. Like, if I see a game with an art design which kind of creeps me out or I don't like, then I should not be avoiding it. I should jump into it. If it's a good art design and good style, good gameplay and everything, then I should not be afraid of those types of games. And that game is Don't Starve Together. Don't Starve Together is obviously multiplayer. You can always say that multiplayer is always hard to judge because it changes based on who you play with and who you play it against. But in Don't Starve Together, you are always playing against the environment. The environment is randomized, so are the maps. You're always threatened by that. You're always under pressure. And just this type of game, I've never seen a game like this. I've never felt so much tension in a game like this. It's like every single moment you're in the game, you have to be doing something to survive, either for your future or your current life. Not just to survive in the next few minutes, but for the long-term future, for like survive for an hour later. That is a huge deal in Don't Starve Together. I've never found a game like that. But the art design just really creeped me out. It's a whole Tim Burton art style, which I was always afraid of. It just always creeps me out, and I'm not sure what to think of it. I don't think I like the art style, but I do like how they all fit together. So maybe I do. I don't know. And I did record a bunch of videos of it. I still got stuff recorded, and nobody really likes those videos. So I just wish I could have made more videos for it, but nobody seems to like the latest one. So thanks for listening to my opinions on these games of the year, these category winners. Like I said at the start, these are my opinions, so they are pretty arbitrary. They aren't really that important. These are just my opinions. I would like to hear your opinions. Do you agree with all these nominations? Do you agree with any? Like, what ones have I missed? I made this list based on what I played this year. And I can't afford all the latest games such as Battlefield Hardline, Star Wars Battlefront, Dying Light, Just Cause 3, Metal Gear Solid, The Witcher 3, all these great games, all these expensive games. So I hope you understand why I did the list like this. But I would like to hear your ones based off your opinion. What's the best story you played this year? Who do you think deserves the Best Developer Award? Or the mod of the year? Have you played any mods? What surprised you the most? I would like to hear in the comments and we can talk about it. So thanks for watching and hope to see you in the comments.